July 4, 2025, was supposed to be a day of celebration in Central Texas. Across the region, families gathered for barbecues, parades, and fireworks, eager to enjoy the warmth of summer and the spirit of Independence Day. The air was filled with laughter and the smell of grilling food as children played in parks and neighbors greeted each other with smiles. For many, it was a cherished tradition, a time to come together and make memories under the wide Texas sky. Instead, nature had other plans. As the day unfolded, a catastrophic flash flood tore through the Guadalupe River valley, turning a place of beauty into a scene of devastation. Torrential rains, far heavier than forecast, fell relentlessly overnight, swelling the river beyond anything locals had seen in decades. The water rose with terrifying speed, overwhelming levees and surging into neighborhoods that had never flooded before. The communities of Hunt and Kerrville, known for their rustic charm and riverside gatherings, were blindsided as the river transformed into a raging torrent. Streets that had hosted parades just hours earlier disappeared beneath muddy water. Homes, cars, and cherished possessions were swept away in minutes, leaving families with nothing but the clothes on their backs. The force of the flood was unimaginable, uprooting trees and tearing apart bridges that had stood for generations. For families and children at summer camps along the river, the holiday turned into a nightmare. Many awoke to the sound of sirens and frantic shouts, their tents and cabins surrounded by rising water. Camp counselors and emergency crews rushed to evacuate hundreds of children, forming human chains to guide them to safety. Parents waited anxiously, desperate for news as roads became impassable and communication lines went down. When the waters finally receded, the true scale of the disaster became clear. The flood was a stark reminder of nature's power and our vulnerability, leaving a scar on the landscape and in the hearts of countless people. Streets were caked in mud, homes were gutted, and entire neighborhoods faced the daunting task of rebuilding from scratch. The emotional toll was immense as families mourned lost loved ones and tried to salvage what little remained. Yet, amid the devastation, stories of courage and compassion emerged. Firefighters, volunteers, and neighbors risked their lives to rescue those trapped by the floodwaters. Strangers opened their homes to displaced families, and communities rallied together for massive cleanup efforts. The story of this day is not one of fireworks, but of bravery, loss, and a community's struggle to recover and rebuild, stronger than before. The Guadalupe River, once a source of joy and recreation, became an agent of destruction in mere hours. The same waters that had brought life and laughter to the region now left behind shattered dreams and altered landscapes. The contrast between the river's peaceful past and its violent transformation was a sobering reminder of how quickly life can change. This is the story of a community bound by grief, but also by determination to heal and remember. In the aftermath, residents gathered for vigils, shared stories of survival, and honored those lost. Through heartbreak and hardship, the people of Central Texas showed resilience, proving that even in the face of overwhelming tragedy, hope and unity can endure. The science behind the Texas flood is staggering. In the days leading up to the disaster, meteorologists and scientists watched in disbelief as weather models predicted a convergence of rare atmospheric conditions. Warm, moisture-laden air from the Gulf of Mexico collided with a cold front, creating a perfect storm scenario that would soon unleash chaos across the region. A massive weather system stalled over the hill country, dumping an astonishing 1.8 trillion gallons of rain in just a few hours. The relentless downpour transformed peaceful creeks into raging torrents and turned fields into vast, muddy lakes. Roads disappeared beneath sheets of water, and the landscape was quickly overwhelmed by the sheer volume of rainfall. The ground, already saturated from previous storms, couldn't absorb another drop. Water pooled on the surface, racing downhill and funneling into the Guadalupe River and its many tributaries. Small streams swelled into powerful currents, merging with the main river and amplifying its strength with every passing minute. Near the towns of Hunt and Kerrville, the river rose an astonishing 26 feet in just 45 minutes. A wall of water higher than a two-story building. Residents watched in horror as the river, usually calm and inviting, transformed into a churning, unstoppable force. Emergency markers were quickly submerged, and the speed of the rise left little time for warnings or evacuations. This was no gradual flood, it was a violent, explosive surge, catching everyone off guard. Streets became rivers in minutes, and entire neighborhoods were swallowed by the fast-moving water. People scrambled for safety, some barely escaping the sudden onslaught. The power and speed of the floodwaters were unlike anything most had ever seen. Officials called it a 100-year event, a term meant to describe its rarity. But as climate change accelerates, experts warn that such catastrophic floods are becoming more frequent and more intense. The old definitions may no longer apply, and communities must now prepare for a new era of extreme weather. Satellite images captured the aftermath in stark detail: lush riverbanks replaced by endless stretches of mud, debris scattered for miles, and entire groves of trees flattened as if by a giant's hand. Homes that once stood along the river's edge were swept away, leaving only foundations and memories behind. The floodwaters carved new channels through the land, permanently altering the river's course. What was once familiar terrain became unrecognizable as the power of nature reshaped the landscape in a matter of hours. The scars left behind are a testament to the flood's unprecedented force. Communities now face the daunting task of rebuilding, forever changed by the river that rose with a fury no one could have imagined. The true devastation is measured in lives lost and families shattered. By July 7th, at least 116 people were confirmed dead, with many more missing. In Kerr County, 84 victims were identified, 56 adults and 28 children, while dozens remain unidentified, leaving families in agonizing limbo. Over 160 people were still missing days after the flood, their fates unknown. Search and rescue efforts have shifted to recovery, as hope for survivors fades. Many victims were visitors, spreading the tragedy's impact far beyond Central Texas. Emergency centers are inundated with calls from across the country as families seek news of loved ones. The flood struck at the heart of families simply seeking holiday joy. Among the many tragedies that unfolded during the disaster, the fate of Camp Mystic stands out as a heartbreaking symbol of loss and devastation. Once a cherished haven nestled along the banks of the Guadalupe River, the camp's story is now forever changed. For nearly a century, this all-girls camp was more than just a summer retreat. It was a sanctuary where lifelong friendships blossomed, traditions were passed down, and generations of young women found a sense of belonging and adventure. The laughter of campers echoed through the trees, and the river was a constant companion, shaping memories that would last a lifetime. But on July 4th, everything changed in an instant. The river, swollen by relentless rains, transformed into a raging torrent. It became a monster, surging over its banks and sweeping through the campgrounds with terrifying force, leaving little time for escape or warning. In the chaos that followed, at least 27 campers and staff lost their lives, and the fate of several others remains uncertain. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the community as families and friends grappled with unimaginable grief and the desperate hope that more survivors might be found. The camp's beloved cabins, activity areas, and cherished gathering spots were reduced to ruins. Scattered belongings and mud-caked mementos now mark the places where laughter once rang out, leaving behind a haunting scene of heartbreak for all who called Camp Mystic home. The loss here is not just measured in numbers. It's the stolen futures of young lives cut short, the deep trauma etched into the hearts of survivors, and the pain carried by families who must now navigate a world forever changed by tragedy. As search and rescue teams continue their painstaking work, families and the camp community endure an agonizing wait for news. Volunteers, officials, and neighbors have come together, united by hope and heartbreak, determined to find answers and support one another through the darkest of days. Camp Mystic, once a place of joy and youthful dreams, now stands as a somber reminder of nature's power and the fragility of cherished traditions. The road to healing will be long, but the spirit of the camp and its community endures, holding on to hope for brighter days ahead. Amid the chaos at Camp Mystic, stories of courage emerged, none greater than Richard Eastland's. At 70, Eastland was the camp's beloved director, known for his dedication and kindness. As the floodwaters surged, he sprang into action, waking campers and guiding them to safety. He moved from cabin to cabin, his calm voice a beacon in the panic. In his selfless effort, Eastland was swept away by the current, sacrificing his life for others. His actions saved many, and he is remembered as a hero who embodied the spirit of Camp Mystic. Richard Eastland's legacy is one of courage, leadership, and ultimate sacrifice. The search for the missing has been monumental and perilous. Teams from Texas across the U.S. and Mexico have joined forces combing miles of mud-choked riverbanks. Ongoing storms and dangerous conditions have hampered efforts, forcing teams to pause and lose precious time. Despite exhaustion and fading hope, rescuers press on, driven by a mission to bring closure to grieving families. Governor Greg Abbott has vowed the search will not stop until every missing person is found. For many rescuers, this is a personal mission, not just a professional duty. Their relentless effort is a testament to human compassion in the face of disaster. In the aftermath, Central Texas has shown remarkable unity and resilience. Churches, schools, and community centers have become shelters and volunteer hubs. Locals with boats assist search teams, while others organize donation drives and provide meals to first responders. Amid loss, acts of kindness shine, neighbors helping neighbors, strangers offering comfort. The emotional toll is immense, but the community's bond grows stronger through shared grief and support. Grassroots efforts provide immediate personal aid, complementing official relief. The strength and compassion of Central Texans are the foundation for recovery. Their unity sends a powerful message of hope and endurance. As the waters recede, questions and criticism rise about the government's response. Many say the federal response was slow, leaving local communities overwhelmed. Budget cuts to agencies like the National Weather Service and FEMA are under scrutiny, with some blaming them for inadequate warnings and preparation. Reports suggest missed flood risks and underfunded warning systems left areas like Camp Mystic unprepared. Officials defend their actions, citing early warnings and calling the flood an unavoidable 100-year event. The debate has become polarized, even leading to heated incidents on social media. Emotions and political divisions complicate recovery and accountability. The flood's aftermath is not just physical, it's a storm of questions about preparedness and responsibility. As recovery begins, the Texas flood stands as a painful lesson in vulnerability and preparedness. The tragedy demands a reevaluation of infrastructure, warning systems, and land policies in flood-prone areas. Investment in modern, effective early warning systems is crucial. Every second counts in a flash flood. Rebuilding will require more than repairing homes. It means healing deep emotional wounds. Support from across the country is vital. Donations to reputable charities can make a real difference. The legacy of the 2025 flood will be defined by how we respond, honoring victims, supporting survivors, and building resilience. The Guadalupe will run clear again, but the memory of this flood must drive us to protect one another and build a safer future.